Imagine waking up one day and realizing that two of the most iconic American brands, Apple and McDonald's, are facing a significant decline in one of the world's largest and fastest-growing markets, China. These companies, once seen as invincible giants in the global economy, are now struggling to maintain their dominance in the Chinese market. What was once considered a golden opportunity for American brands has turned into a battleground of fierce competition, evolving consumer preferences, and shifting market dynamics. This loss of grip is significant not only because of the shrinking market share for these American companies, but also because of its larger implications for the future of global business. China's rise as an economic powerhouse is not just about dominating its own market. It's about setting the stage for a global transformation. From technology and trade to the way nations do business, China is redefining success in the 21st century and, in doing so, is changing the rules for what it means to thrive in the global economy. This shift in China's market isn't a temporary blip, it's a fundamental change. Over the past decade, China has rapidly transformed from a nation that primarily relied on imports and foreign expertise into a dominant force in innovation and self-sufficiency. Chinese companies that were once seen as mere imitators of Western brands have now become leaders in their own right. Brands like Huawei, Xiaomi, and Luckin Coffee have skyrocketed in popularity, often leaving their American counterparts in the dust. In fact, many Chinese consumers now prefer homegrown brands, finding them more attuned to local needs, preferences, and values. China's corporate landscape has undergone a remarkable transformation in the last 10 years. From its booming tech scene to the rise of local retail giants, the country has become a thriving hub of innovation. According to a recent Bloomberg report, Chinese brands like Huawei, Xiaomi, and Luckin Coffee have experienced unprecedented success. These companies, once seen as imitators, are now trailblazers, setting new trends in everything from artificial intelligence, AI, and 5G technology to coffee shop culture. Huawei, for example, has become a global leader in 5G technology, and its innovation is now seen as more cutting-edge and in tune with Chinese consumer needs than what Apple or McDonald's can offer. Dr. Jean-Paul Larson, a professor specializing in Asian markets, points out that China's corporate landscape is no longer about imitation. It's about setting trends, pushing technological boundaries, and leading the world in innovation. But what does this mean for American companies like Apple and McDonald's, which have been struggling to adapt to these shifting dynamics? Is this just a passing trend, or does the data suggest a more permanent shift in consumer behavior? The evidence is mounting. It's a lasting shift. A 2023 survey conducted by Global Times reveals that over 70% of Chinese consumers now prefer local brands over foreign ones. This is a dramatic reversal from just a decade ago, when American companies were revered as the epitome of quality and aspiration. The rise of local brands in China reflects a deep transformation in the nation's economic strategy, encapsulated in the dual circulation model. This strategy, which emphasizes self-sufficiency and domestic consumption, is reshaping China's economy and its consumer habits. According to Wang Wei, a senior economist at the China Center for International Economic Exchanges, China's push for domestic consumption is no longer just an economic goal. It's a policy shift with concrete implications for foreign companies. One of the primary drivers behind this shift is cost. Apple, once seen as the symbol of aspirational luxury, is now perceived as overly expensive. In contrast, local brands like Xiaomi, Oppo, and Huawei deliver comparable or even superior products at a fraction of the cost. A report by McKinsey & Company reveals that 62% of Chinese consumers now prioritize value-for-money brands over premium labels. Apple, which once commanded a significant premium for its products, is now facing increased competition from local tech giants that offer similar quality at a more accessible price point. In addition to price, quality is another critical factor. Many younger Chinese consumers view local brands like Huawei and Xiaomi as equal to, if not superior to, their foreign counterparts. A survey by Statista found that 55% of Chinese consumers under the age of 35 trust Chinese brands as much as or more than foreign brands. This shift in perception has leveled the playing field for Chinese companies, if not tilted it in their favor. Mei Zhang, a retail analyst at China Renaissance Capital, notes that the rise in quality perception of local brands has made Chinese consumers more confident in choosing homegrown products over Western alternatives. But what exactly is driving this rise in consumer loyalty toward local Chinese brands? It's not just about price or quality. It's also about national pride and a sense of solidarity with local companies. Huawei and Xiaomi, for instance, have become symbols of China's resilience in the face of foreign sanctions. When Huawei was hit with U.S. sanctions, many Chinese consumers rallied behind the brand, viewing it not just as a tech company, but as a symbol of China's defiance against foreign interference. According to the South China Morning Post, Huawei's market share in China surged by 30% following the sanctions, a clear indication of consumer solidarity. Xiao Qin, a consumer behavior expert at Sing University, explains that for many Chinese consumers, purchasing Huawei products isn't just about quality or value. It's a statement of national pride and a way to support China's technological rise. This alignment between local brands and national pride has created a strong sense of loyalty among Chinese consumers. Brands like Huawei and Xiaomi have tapped into the growing sense of nationalism, which has only been amplified by rising geopolitical tensions, particularly between China and the United States. Nationalism is increasingly becoming a driving force in Chinese consumer behavior. A recent survey by South China Morning Post found that nearly 80% of young Chinese consumers prefer to buy from local brands as a way to support their country's economy and ideals. This isn't just a fleeting trend. It's a powerful shift with deep implications for how international brands. For many young Chinese consumers, choosing local brands is a way of asserting their national identity and rejecting foreign influence. Buying from Huawei, for example, is often seen as supporting China's fight against U.S. sanctions. As Dr. Li Wei, a sociologist at Peking University, points out, this shift in consumer preferences isn't just about price or quality. It's about aligning with values and supporting brands that embody national pride. But how does this shift in consumer sentiment play into the broader economic landscape of China? With the cost of living rising rapidly, particularly in major cities like Beijing and Shanghai, it's not just nationalism driving consumers toward local brands. It's also a matter of practicality. A report by China Daily revealed that since 2022, the average cost of goods and housing in China has risen by nearly 15%, with everyday expenses increasing. Many consumers are looking for ways to save money without sacrificing quality. Foreign brands, which often come with a premium price tag, are increasingly being seen as luxury items rather than everyday necessities. McDonald's and Starbucks, for example, once symbols of a trendy and cosmopolitan lifestyle, now face the challenge of competing with local alternatives that offer similar products at more affordable prices. Luckin Coffee is a prime example of how local brands are thriving in this new economic environment. By aggressively pricing its products to compete with Starbucks, Luckin Coffee has gained significant market share. According to The Economist, Luckin Coffee saw a 30% increase in market share in the past year by appealing to value-seeking consumers. As consumers in China become more cost-conscious due to rising living expenses, affordability has become a key factor in their purchasing decisions. According to Jing Zhang, an economist at Shanghai University of Finance and Economics, Chinese consumers are highly pragmatic, especially when dealing with rising costs of living. As a result, many are opting for local brands that better fit their budgets, even if it means bypassing foreign companies operating in China are also facing mounting regulatory challenges. Over the past few years, China has introduced several new regulations that have made it more difficult for foreign businesses to operate with the same freedom they once enjoyed. For instance, new data localization laws now require companies like Apple and Tesla to store user data on Chinese soil. This has complicated their data management processes, with Apple having to completely overhaul its Chinese data infrastructure, a costly move that Bloomberg estimates cost millions. According to Xiao Xing, a policy analyst at China Economic Review, these regulatory changes are not merely administrative hurdles. They represent structural shifts that are transforming how foreign companies operate in China. Complying with these new regulations is expensive, and many foreign companies are reassessing their long-term prospects in the Chinese market. They not only face higher operational costs, but also face increased competition from local companies that are not subject to the same regulations. As foreign firms struggle to comply, local competitors are gaining a significant edge. Sustainability is another area where foreign companies are feeling pressure. Younger Chinese consumers who see climate change as one of the most pressing global challenges are particularly concerned with environmental issues. A Greenpeace China study revealed that 72% of consumers under 30 actively seek out brands that demonstrate a strong environmental commitment. With sustainability becoming increasingly important, foreign companies can no longer afford to ignore green practices. For instance, Starbucks has committed to operating entirely on renewable energy across all its Chinese outlets by 2030, which has enhanced its reputation among environmentally conscious younger consumers. Li Ming, a sustainability expert at Beijing Normal University, notes that green policies resonate strongly with younger Chinese consumers. If foreign brands fail to meet these expectations, they risk losing market share to local companies that are more environmentally. Beyond sustainability, emotional connection with consumers is vital for success in the Chinese market. American brands must respect and understand Chinese culture, traditions, and values. Successful companies know that it's not just about selling products. It's about building emotional bonds and long-term relationships with consumers. For example, Apple has launched several advertising campaigns in China celebrating Chinese New Year traditions, using heartfelt storytelling to connect with consumers on a cultural level. Alex Zhang, a marketing expert at Renmin University, emphasizes that Chinese consumers respond well to brands that respect their cultural values. Brands that align their campaigns with key cultural moments like Chinese New Year or the Mid-Autumn Festival foster greater brand loyalty by demonstrating an understanding of what matters most to consumers. In the fast food sector, McDonald's has learned the importance of adapting to local tastes. Having been in China since the early 1990s, McDonald's now tailors nearly 60% of its menu to suit regional preferences, offering everything from rice dishes to spicy options. The company has also embraced China's tech-driven consumer landscape by introducing AI-powered kiosks and facial recognition payment systems to enhance the customer experience. This technological innovation is not just a novelty. It is a strategic move in a market where digital engagement is paramount. In China, technological innovation is a major factor in consumer decision-making, and companies that fail to innovate risk falling behind. Mobile payments, AI-powered personalization, and interactive marketing on platforms like WeChat and Douyin are now essential tools for brands seeking success in China. According to a report from the China Internet Network Information Center, 99% of Chinese internet users are active on mobile platforms, making mobile-first strategies critical for foreign companies operating in China. Starbucks has also capitalized on this trend by partnering with WeChat for seamless ordering and delivery, while Nike has used AI-powered apps to recommend products based on user preferences. Grace Zhou, a digital commerce consultant at Shanghai Partners, explains that a strong digital strategy is no longer just a competitive edge in China. It's a requirement for success. Understanding regional differences is crucial for American brands operating in China. What works in Beijing may not be effective in Chongqing or Shenzhen. Successful brands know how to tailor their approach to different regions. For example, Coca-Cola has adjusted its flavors and marketing strategies to match local tastes, even creating unique regional flavors. Storytelling and social media are vital tools for building brand loyalty and trust in China. Platforms like WeChat, Douyin, and Xiaohongshu provide brands with opportunities to tell their stories, engage in real-time conversations, and foster a sense of community. As China continues to evolve, foreign companies will face mounting pressure to adapt. Sustainability, cultural adaptation, and technological innovation will all be essential for success in China's increasingly competitive market. Companies that understand and respect the unique needs of Chinese consumers will be best positioned to thrive in one of the world's most dynamic economies. In conclusion, the seismic shifts occurring in China's market are not only a challenge for American giants like Apple and McDonald's, they are a wake-up call for companies around the world. China's growing influence is reshaping the global business landscape, and those that fail to adapt risk being left behind. The future of international business will hinge on the ability to navigate these complex changes. Only time will tell what this means for the rest of the world. But one thing is certain: China's impact on the global economy will continue.